do not buy a commercial property without watching this video. When you purchase a commercial property, the first thing that you have to decide is what entity that you will be buying. Because in residential property, when you purchase, perhaps you already have residential properties, and when you purchase, you just didn't think about that purchasing entity. You just simply put your own name as that. When you sign the contract, you put your name because you want to buy that property. The problem with buying in your own name is that you are actually taking a huge risk in terms of asset protection. Now, in commercial property, we do not buy in our own name. The property that we want to buy, but we do not want to buy in their own name. That means that you have to put a lot of thoughts about what entity that you will be buying. Now, in Australia, there are two particular entities which are very famous, where most people who buy commercial properties, they use. The number one is the family trust. This is particularly capable of buying on its own. So in other words, like the family trust, even though you are a single person, you can set it up a family trust, and you can then buy that property within that trust. Why? Because if you are buying that in your own name, your asset protection is almost negligible. There is no asset protection. So that means if anything happens within the property, or anything happens to your life, and then somebody sues you or somebody sues the property, both way you are completely exposed. But if you buy that property in a family trust, and if somebody sues you, they cannot touch that property. And this is one of the classic asset protections that mostly the rich people that they just actually follow. So first thing that you need to do is that you must set up a family trust before you even purchasing a commercial property. So once you set it up, then only you go for contract, because the family trust, where the trustee and the trust name is important, because this needs to be done first before you actually sign the contract, because in that contract you need to put that entity name, and that entity name will be this trustee as trust for the trust name, which is why you will first set it up. And most people, I have been seeing that a lot of people are trying to buy a commercial property. Then when I ask the question that, okay, have you set up an entity? And most of the time answer is that, what is an entity? What can I not buy in my own name? And the answer is that you can buy, but you should not buy in your own name. The second entity that you can look for is called company. And in company, you can buy a commercial property. Of course, the only difference between a family trust and a company is that in company, when you buy a commercial property, then if in future, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, if you ever sell that property, there is no capital gain tax discount if you buy that in a company. But if you buy in a family trust, then you get this 50% capital gain tax discount, which is why buying in your own name and buying in a family trust, you have same advantage in terms of the tax benefits, in terms of your capital gain tax discount, plus additional benefit in family trust. So number one is the asset protection. The next one that you need to understand of buying that in a separate entity is the lending benefits, or rather lender's benefits. Because when you purchase a commercial property, you are going to take a lot of loans. It's true, right? And now you will be taking 70% or 60%, whatever LVR that you are eligible, you will take. Bank is going to lend you, particularly for a commercial property, more lucratively if you set up that entity, if you set up a family trust. If you do not set up a family trust, then it is going to be difficult for you, because the loan will be against your name. And when the loan is in your own name, if you buy property in your own name, then you can only borrow certain amount of money. And after one or two commercial property, you will be stuck. You will not be able to get loan, because every time you are going to apply for a loan, you have to declare that you have taken the loan, because the loan is in your name. Whereas if you buy in a family trust, then in the next property you can set up another family trust, and you can borrow money under that family trust. So that means the loan is not in your name. On paper, you do not own the property. It is in the family trust, and hence you basically able to borrow more and more money. So which is why that the borrowing benefits, or the kind of a lenders will prefer to lend you more money if it is in a family trust, as compared to if you buy in your own name. When you purchase a commercial property, you also need to think about that you will not sell that property because it's a high cash flow property, and generally you would be thinking about an intergenerational wealth. It means like you will even pass it on, like you buy today and even 30, 40, 50 years once you passed on, then it is going to go to the next generation. If you buy in your own name, there is a significant way of thinking about how this property will be passed on to the next generation. If you buy in a family trust, it is very simple. The property remains in the trust, is the trustees, directors, that gets changed. So right now, let's say you are the director of the trustee company, and then tomorrow someone else is going to be the director, and that person will control the trust. So in other words, you do not have to sell the property, you do not have to do anything. So in terms of your asset protection, plus in terms of your passing it on to the next generation, is also easy if you buy that in a family trust. The goal that you should be having, that on paper you own nothing, but you control everything. When you purchase property in a family trust, when you purchase property in a company, when you purchase property in unit trust, then you actually control everything. You do not own anything. That property is not yours. It is owned by the trust. And I would rather control everything than own, because if I own property in my own name, the problem is that people would be able to find it that I own these 3 properties, I have this much equity exposed, and I would be liable if there is any, somebody sues you, or there is something happens to my job or anything that I am doing, and there is a litigation that comes in. Which is why almost everyone who buys commercial property, they look for this kind of entity setup first before they purchase a commercial property. So these are the benefits that you get when you purchase property in a family trust, and you should be looking into buying a family trust. The goal should be, first you set it up that entity, and then once you set it up the entity, then you look for signing the contract. That way there should not be any issues of entity setup. You should not be doing like a hypothetical, you first sign the contract and then you think of setting up that asset. That is going to be too late. So when you want to buy a commercial property, set up that family trust, set up that unit trust, or set up the company before you purchase. I hope you find these videos helpful. If you like this video, consider subscribing my channel, turn the notification bell on so you get to see more videos like this, and it also helps me to reach out to more people like you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.